scenic view.
Yeah, I'll just go and drink from there. Authentic. He's even more rich because he doesn't have to repair shit at
That's true.
Right?
But this is still
Sunglasses, man.
He's a spectacle.
Spectacle, man. He's a spectacle with
Remember
the
that
spectacle.
Dragon Ball Z? It's over 9,000.
Damn. Man. I voted, man. I voted. Yes. Transit public. Boy.
Boy,
In there.
we're approaching even though they created space.
No, I like it. It's catchy.
It is actually. Backpacks in the front, honestly, it's top tier
It's
tech.
top tier. You put a kid in there, it's
That's
golden.
it, you're set.
Set. So you want to put a kid in there?
Absolutely.
So today we are with
Gripinder
a P.
with a P.
And I'm Rumi, your host and co-host for this show, The Planes
Trains.
and the Automobiles. And this is a trip to Toronto from Brampton. Are you
We
ready?
got right up in there.
Right up in there.
Right up in there.
What's your thoughts, man? What you think about train? It's too green
Trains?
for me.
Too green. That is an interesting way to start the conversation about environmental impact, eh?
Yeah, it's a green.
It's definitely more green than fucking car-based infrastructure and all these concrete parking lots we got all over the place to accommodate these cars. Trains would be way more green.
FYI, Grupinder hates cars.
A little bit.
So do you like this train? You probably travel in this train like since childhood or what?
I only really started taking a few years ago as I started taking more trips to Toronto. Because, you know, driving to Toronto, that shit will put gray hairs on your head. I will absolutely
Yeah.
never do that again willingly.
Take notes, Sonny.
Take notes?
Take
Damn,
notes.
to the producer.
Yeah, it's looks pretty neat. Oh, we're going second floor.
Second
Oh,
floor,
okay.
multiple stories to
Multiple
this train?
stories.
Do you see how yo, get a good look at how comfortable these seats are, by the way, too.
Sit, show us.
Yo,
Bounce that bum over there.
bounce it?
Bounce it.
Look, we can just kick it like this. It's just so chill.
We can sing that song. Can I kick it?
Damn.
Yes, you can. Can I kick it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But always remember, that yellow strip there is the opposite of Brampton Transit.
What?
The yellow strips are emergency stops. You're not supposed to press that or you'll get fined.
Oh.
But in Brampton Transit, you push that to signal a stop.
All right. So, something for my feet, something
Full
for my
leg up.
butt. It's a whole package, baby.
We
Welcome
are
to
set.
Brampton Go train.
Dude,
Right?
this
That's what
is
it's called?
Brampton Go, yeah.
Yeah, Brampton Go. Hot too.
Are we sponsored by them? Why are we advertising
No,
for
fuck
them?
no.
Are we sponsored
But
by
we're trying to describe our journey here because we are taking a train to Toronto
from Brampton?
from Brampton. Why are we doing that, Gurpinder? What's the mission behind it?
What a mission. We're just here on a journey just to talk about infrastructure, to talk about parking lots, to talk about trains, to talk about everything, bro. To talk about our place in the world.
So why this train?
This train right here, honestly, very accessible, very easy way to get to Toronto relatively. Train's much more relaxing than taking the Go bus, I find. Go bus tends to be more expensive, tends to get on highways, you gotta wait with buses, but here you got your own route with the tracks, and we'll get there on a good time. Probably
Alright.
like within like 15-20 minutes we should probably get there. Pretty
To Toronto?
chill. Yeah.
It's pretty fast. How much time does it take, Sunny, to Toronto by car? You drive a lot.
About 1 hour.
1 hour.
1 hour.
Plus, yeah.
And that's like a good day.
1 hour is good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So imagine if you have bad traffic, and Toronto is known for its bad traffic.
Toronto is absolutely
Globally.
the worst in the world. I think we're worse than like California. I heard in certain
Yeah.
places. It's wild.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got this bad too, but don't worry. Actually, if we get one more lane, we can actually solve all
One
these
more
issues.
lane.
Just one more lane, boys
Doug
and girls.
Ford, let's go.
Doug Ford's got this, bro. One more
He's
lane.
got my vote. If we put that one more lane in there,
one more lane on the 407. Yeah, that's it.
he has it. I'm rooting and tooting for him for next election.
If he does that, car-based infrastructure is solved, and we no longer need these trains. We can just get rid of these.
Okay, we're getting rid of the trains, guys.
That's it.
That's it. No
Okay.
more plane trains and automobiles.
That's
Plain
it.
cars and whatever the fuck it is.
cars, bicycles, and fucking V6 scooters.
How about bicycling to Toronto? How much time is it going to take?
Bicycling to Toronto would take a hot.
You'll be dead, man.
You would probably burn a lot of calories. The problem is like we're so heavily built on car-based infrastructures. There are places where you probably wouldn't be able to easily take your bike unless you're taking like a bunch of inner roads.
What do you think about that Bubba driving bicycle when we were in Brampton?
Oh, bro, that Bubba owned those streets, bro.
He was like, the streets, they're mine.
In my streets, yo.
They're my streets. They don't belong to you.
They don't belong to us.
Nah.
The Bubbas own these streets, all right? We respect our elders and we respect his streets.
And his cycle too.
And his cycle.
That was cool ass cycle with all the shockers and shit. He was
Yo.
like, yeah, I'm comfortable here, bro. His old butt was like, yeah, this is nice and snazzy. I'm
It's
just
nice. Calories burnt. He's in shape at his age, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. If we get the V6 scooters, we're all gonna have like bulging guts, no exercise.
But it's a
no
good
calorie
idea,
burn.
you know, sitting scooters, not the wheelchairs, not wheelchair
wheelchairs.
folks. It's just sitting scooters with V6 in it.
That's absolutely where we're headed, yo. Those orange scooters gonna have seats.
Yeah.
Gonna have a little spot for you to put your Starbucks drink or your what was it, Monster? What was
Monster.
it?
Like Prime energy. Shout out to Logan Paul.
That's what the kids are into, right?
Yeah,
Prime?
that's what kids are into, yeah.
That's crazy, bro.
I think 1 year ago, but I don't know what they're into right now.
Damn.
Things keep changing.
The cultural zeitgeist keep moving.
It's a capitalism, man.
Damn. It keeps innovating, though. So that's why we love capitalism around
Yeah,
here.
it
We
keeps
love that
innovating.
shit. Always innovating.
Nothing bad about capitalism.
Nothing at all. How can
We love capitalism.
How can you say that capitalism produced this thing for us?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
made this. Like socialism.
From
is-
the mines of Congo and the labor of China, we get this blessed
we get this
iPhone and Samsungs.
right in our hands. And remember, socialism is with no iPhone, so we don't want that shit around.
we
here.
don't want that shit.
Don't
around.
want it.
No.
That
Nope.
shit's banned.
Banned. Gone forever.
Gone forever. Oh my goodness.
Have a particularly reliable system, Sunny, right?
Yeah, you have to reach like 5 buses to.
So 4 and 5 buses to get to the station, which is like 10 minutes away from you,
Yeah.
and walking distance, what,
No,
45
like
minutes?
To go to come to this station.
Yeah.
Two buses.
Oh, right,
Two
2
buses.
buses. That's still a lot.
It's still a decent.
What most people who works in Toronto or somewhere nearby do is park here.
Yeah.
They drive here. Here.
Then they go to Toronto. It seemed like when I was in Surrey, live in Surrey,
Yeah.
you park, there's a station called Scott Road Station. It has biggest parking area there. So people will drive to Scott Road Station, park their cars there, and then go to Vancouver and back and forth.
That's how it is.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Why do these? One of the major reasons we know that people drive to these stations like Toronto is all the jobs are here. Do you think it will be more beneficial to bring jobs to like small towns like Brampton, Mississauga, or things like that? Like kind of distribute the network. So less transit is going into Toronto, and it's just kind of like spreading out at this point.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to speak on. I was going to say it's not just. I can't speak too much about like the jobs are obviously in Toronto at the moment. But I was also going to say the culture is in Toronto. The venues, for example, to go to concerts. If you want to experience most culture, we don't have much in Brampton. It's like what the Rose Theatre is, like a very, very small venue in comparison. It'll be like maybe a place that can hold, I don't even know, 50 to 100 people. Meanwhile, Scotiabank Arena, Rogers Arena, the Budweiser Stadium will hold like thousands of people and have outdoor venues. So it's kind of it's not just the jobs, it's also the infrastructure that's already been set up is more conducive to stuff being held in Toronto than it is in Brampton.
It's a revenue thing too, right? Because they want that revenue to come to Toronto rather than going to some other city.
Toronto-
Even if Brampton is part of Greater Toronto,
GTA, yeah.
GTA, right?
But Toronto is like the hub. That's like all the everybody's coming to Toronto. Let's see the CN Tower. Let's see this. What are you coming to Brampton to do? See Gutty Red challenges go off? You know, like, I mean, you could. It is wild though. Like this is still the best like efficient way to get to Toronto. But like this is going at like, if you see the pace that like this train moves relative to like what a bullet train could move at from Japan, from China, those things like could take you such ridiculous distances in such a short span of time. These are like I was mentioning, they got like rusted tracks still. Like these are ancient tracks.
Isn't there a gauge difference too on the train tracks when it comes to bullet trains or different trains? What was that thing? Like you have to build separate tracks for bullet trains?
Probably, I think. Yeah. I'm not too knowledgeable, but I would imagine it would require like complete stripping down and completely like doing a bunch of things if they were to.
Because imagine handling that kind of speed on these train tracks.
No.
I
No.
think bullet train magnetically.
Oh, they could be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is different train tracking system.
And the other thing is like, there's something we don't talk about enough. I think is I find at least a little bit that trains seem to be less ableist than cars. You have to buy a very specific type of car if you're somebody who can't walk to be able to get into the driver's seat, or if you have a passenger who's in a wheelchair, for example, you need like accommodations, and that vehicle costs a lot more money because they're considered exceptional cases and modifications to the standard, right? But like on a train, this is pretty close to universally usable, unless I guess you have motion sickness or something else, or you have a tough time getting to the train station. But I think it's easier for people to be able to take a train to get somewhere than it would be to accommodate them using cars. Because people who drive cars, they need solid reflexes, they need to be in good like mental shape to be able to assess all these kinds of things. The light turns red, the light turns green, this person's put their left turn signal, I gotta accommodate for this, that, and the third.
You have to be alert like at all times.
But this is so much more relaxing in comparison. And for all the stoners in the chat, all the people who are watching, you can get high out of your mind, you can get drunk, you can sit there on a train, you'll get there. You get high out of your mind or you get drunk as fuck and you got a car to get around. What are you going to do?
All right, I'm listening. This is becoming more interesting.
What are you doing? Like, how do you get around? The trains let you get stoned. How do you not want that? Like, the stoners should be all over trains. You can get wherever you want to be.
So the pro-marijuana movement is a pro.
Get on this.
Pro-train movement.
The green weed, the green go train. Come on, it's all coming together.
Yeah.
That's why we got to unify these movements. We got to sell trains and public transit to the youth.
You gotta sell train to potheads. I think people who are a bit potheads and autistic, they already love trains.
Oh, dude, yeah, I noticed that.
Do you agree with that take?
I got some friends like that as well. Yeah, and I'm a lover of trains, bro. I'm just like, it's efficient. It's like, imagine all these seats filled with people.
Yeah.
Rather
than them driving right now.
Rather than them drive. Like if you look over there, you see like 4 vehicles back to back.
Yeah.
All the space they take probably holds like 3 people, 1 person per driver's seat in those 3 vehicles over there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, just within this lane right here, we have 8 potential seats, and there's like probably able to sit like maybe 50 or 60 within this cart alone, and there's 8 carts back to back. It's so much more efficient. Actually, moving at a solid pace that's going to be uninterrupted because we're on train tracks and like we're not on the road with other vehicles like the Go bus would be. But you understand, like, the pace isn't that crazy. This is not like 300 kilometers an hour. This is not even 100 kilometers an hour. This is just a solid, uninterrupted pace. And this is kind of the best we've got in North America. North America doesn't really have exposure to the same kinds of things that Japan does. You've seen pictures in Japan where like the trains are like interweaved with the buildings. You got like trains.
I've seen some crazy pictures coming out of China too now. China is building a very solid train structure.
I think I sent you that picture of the map of like the railway
construction,
right?
TTC, like Toronto Transit versus Chinese transit system. And we are talking city to a country, and they've just expanded so massively over the time that it's crazy.
And again, you notice how all 4 of us, even the producer who's like just filming us right now, we're able to chill and just have a conversation. None of us have to make snap decisions. None of us have to like think about our lives on the line. None of us have to be like, oh shit, if I make this left turn now, am I going to hit this pedestrian that's coming into the cyclist? Am I going to be able to make it in time? There's so many snap decisions that got to be made. And you're doing this shit right after 8 hours at work when your mind's turned to mush after doing like repetitive activities for 8 hours a day. And you're unpaid for the commute too? You're doing like physical and mental labor unpaid? Mm-hmm. Like who thought like car-based infrastructure is like acceptable, bro?
What about those people who enjoy driving, who are love? I know you're a car hater.
I'm a professional
car hater. He's the biggest car hater I've ever seen, and he hates cars.
I hate everything.
What about the people who love cars, who adore, who like the sense of it, driving it, who can feel it, who want to be one with the engine and one with the oil, whatever the shit is? But
you're one with the oil.
One with the oil.
What I think is like, when we have people who love cars, most of the time you'll hear them talking about it. They're not driving on like steels during rush hour. They're not talking about loving cars at the end. They're talking about like when they're driving at like maybe 2-3 a.m. or something, or like late at night on a highway when it's relatively empty, but you can kind of like kick back and chill. That's when you really like enjoy driving. But if our population continues to grow and we continue to use car-based infrastructure as our main means of transportation, the more people that are driving, the worse driving gets. I'm sure even the car lovers do not love driving bumper to bumper rush hour traffic. And I think that's kind of like it kind of feels like the best case scenario for the car is when the roads are empty. So that's when you're, again, like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. That's kind of like the best case. That's when people are like, yeah, yo, dude, driving's chill. Nobody's on the road. I can just pop like a podcast on, like let the wind blow in my face, kind of one-handed,
Play
kind of
that
stuff,
song, go Fast and Furious mode,
right? Exactly.
talk about family.
I don't got friends, bro. I got family only.
Your family.
Exactly. And the other interesting part is how car-based infrastructure and our capitalism kind of go hand in hand. We kind of work the 9 to 5. It's kind of like the general working hours of the day. So what that means is the majority of cars are on the road between the hours of like 8 to like maybe 10ish, 8 to 9ish. That's like heavy rush hour, and like maybe 5 to 6ish, people getting off from work. Everybody's using the cars at the exact same time. Maybe between like 12 and 1 for your dedicated lunch break, so everybody's driving to fucking Tim Hortons or Starbucks or something, right? Or maybe they're going to the weed dispenser. Who knows what these stoners are doing? But
Who are these stoners that keep talking about?
Drive through
drive-through vapes.
Can I get that
Oh,
one?
in pandemic, there was drive-through dispensaries.
Yo,
Remember that?
that's sick.
When was that?
The pandemic, bro.
Oh,
The
no.
lockdown.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that.
Ganjika did that.
Damn. But like,
This is not a sponsored ad for Mentos though.
Would you like a mental?
I'm good for now, thank you. Appreciate it. But
No.
like you notice how cars all have to be on the road at the same time usually? It's crazy how like we made it as bad as it could possibly be because we don't have flexible work hours. So those are the times of the day where you're just on the road. Everybody's there.
I like car too. Kind of like gives me a feel.
Well, are those high volume areas that you typically drive to? Like, is there like a lot of people going there at the same time?
No,
you're
they
going?
are like destination spots.
So you got that kind of like that peaceful, ideal route for cars, right? The ideal moments, the ideal opportunities. And I think maybe they could have their place if kind of saved for those moments. But for the daily commute, for like the back and forth, ideally, I'd say the more we're able to get around via trains and buses, the more we're able to like, the more things we're able to do. Like again, if Sonny, if you can see behind us how big this parking lot is, right? Like this is a huge chunk of land, even on the other side too. Both sides, we're surrounded by parking lots everywhere. This is just
Just for this
concrete,
train station.
which is crazy, right? And it's just like this many cars, this much concrete on the earth required to just like serve as a holding space for all these cars, right? And that to me is the crazy part because there could be so many other things. These could be parks. These could be areas where we commute. Where we commune. Where we're able to meet up. and
Again,
stuff.
something crazy about this is people are driving to train station to take trains. Then again, there's use of cars. How can I think there's an architectural failure there. That's a planning failure around the cities. How
Yeah.
cities are planned, and again, my question about jobs being so sparsely spread, different reasons that people need to take trains. For example, if I work in Toronto, I can't afford to live in Toronto. I would love to live in Toronto, for example, if I'm
Yeah.
working in Toronto. But again, there's structural and architectural and economical challenges there, right?
Yeah. And that's really difficult. We're like $1 million for like what, a 1-bedroom condo in Toronto
Yeah.
is like crazy. But again, people have to commute, and like you said, people who can't afford to live in Toronto means they're coming from Brampton, means they're coming from Mississauga. Do you know what that means? Your 9 to 5 job is you're starting at 7 and you're probably getting home at 7. You're probably
That's
7
like
to 7.
2 hours more, 2.5 hours, 3 hours more of your life.
That's a 12-hour workday.
Yeah.
And you're only getting paid for 8 of those. The other, and then you have to get ready to get on the train, you have to eat your food and all that stuff. So that becomes like 13 hours a day. They tell you it's an 8-hour work day, but it's not actually. Like, it's a very, very significantly higher portion, possibly over 50% if you consider the time spent getting ready.
Yeah.
And-
Again, then we can bring that point where fair wages can get involved in this thing, like how people need to be paid fairly so they can afford to live where they work. If they can't afford to live in the place they work, why they work in that place then?
I got a hot take for you now.
Okay.
The world would be a significantly better designed place if employers had to pay you for your commute. If the employers had to cover it.
100%
They
agree.
would make sure this shit gets funded really well and make sure that you're able to get exactly what
So
you need to.
are you talking about private public corporation kind of thing? private companies cooperate the public institutions and then invest in infrastructure?
That's unfortunately like a lot of stuff is in private hands. Like it's hard. Like we don't.
But that's like totally private, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But like if they had to, I'm pretty sure they would lobby for. They wouldn't be lobbying as hard against public transport as they are now. Like we're talking earlier, I think in the car right here. The one thing Noam Chomsky was saying was, in order to incentivize private options, you keep defunding the public options more and more. An example would be our healthcare. If our healthcare keeps getting defunded more and more, people will start turning to, oh, if I can't find a bed in a hospital, I'll go to a private place. I'll spend the money. I don't want to wait in the lines. I'll spend the money. It starts becoming incentivized for them to do so. And I think that's kind of what's happening with the defunding of public transit. The buses kind of come slower and slower. They're kind of in bad shape. They're not on time. Sunny was saying as well, like they're almost rarely on time, right? Or you'll see like 2 buses come at one time, and then it's wild.
So there is a deliberate pattern to make public transport, to let public transport fail, so they can turn into a private enterprise and then earn money out of it, or completely make it defunct so they can sell more cars,
Yeah.
and sell more oil. So we can say you have oil industry lobbying against it, you have car industry lobbying against it, and those two industries have kind of like mutual interest at this point.
Right, that's why we're so heavily car-based. Like North America specifically is so big on car-based infrastructure. Was lobbying from oil companies, right? From like those kinds of like families who had like billions of dollars in oil, and that's the result. The result of this is
because if you look at North America as
Yeah.
it is, the whole thing is based earlier civilization, the Industrial Revolution that happened in North America. It happened on trains. There was little war between different companies who would put their railway tracks first across transcontinent in America.
yeah.
So I think the whole thing was about, it's a challenge in capitalism, right? They want to achieve. Once it's done, they forget about it. That's my hot take. Like they care because it serves their interests. Like one of the biggest example I give to the people, for example, India got colonized and British laid down trains everywhere. Now people can look at it and be like, oh, that was a good thing that they did. Oh, the Britishers were good because they laid down trains. There's a common argument that comes up. But we forget to understand that they did so to serve their own fucking interests. They did so to take the resources out of that country.
Exactly.
And you know what's funny thing is, when India was getting colonized, Karl Marx kind of predicted this. He's like, next thing after colonization will be British laying railway tracks in that country to take the resources out of the country
Expeditiously.
And then
I see, like, if we were to get like big investments in trains and all that, I would not want to see it done by a private company. Even though I prefer trains to cars, I think transportation should be free. That's my belief. I believe
that's a hot take.
you should be able to get where you need to for free.
Yeah.
Your ability to get somewhere shouldn't depend on how much money you have access to. I don't like, it's the same way I believe water should be free, food should be free, and housing should be. Like, these are human needs. I think good public transit is literally fundamentally part of a human need, and that human need is our access to community. We need to be able to, no matter where we live, be able to find community further distances from us and be able to find them and connect with people.
Yeah, I can see that happening. But another question that arises out of it is like how you pay for it. Yeah, like, people are already like, Canadian elections were around the corner. The biggest thing where people were voting at was taxes, to cut the taxes. There's always the debate about taxes, and when we talk about something becoming free, like transportation, education, healthcare, it always takes that toll on, the tax debate comes in, because technically that's where we're gonna pay our whatever system we're trying to make free. So how do you think that work?
That is honestly a really good question, and it is like really interesting to consider, because like when I mention trains should be free, I think that's an ideal take. That's an idealist take. Probably not
Okay.
a practical take.
More utopian take.
Exactly. Like space communism, like
Yeah.
200 years to kind of take. Not a take that exists here, like or is palatable here. I'd honestly like for now, I'd be okay with like a $4 or $5, just tap on
Something more affordable.
exactly something affordable, something that people can easily spend. Because another thing I'm going to tangent into a slightly different point.
Yeah.
Is that when we're paid like from our jobs, we're not given a lump sum payment like here's $100,000. Now you can just work for us for 10 years. We're paid over time.
All the time, yeah.
A car is a big chunk investment that you got to keep saving money for. But transportation is something you do little by little by little, and that works better when the money is given to us in slight piecemeal fashion, right? And I think spending $5 just to be able to get somewhere, I think over the long run,
Especially something long distance like Toronto to Brampton.
yeah, and that's like honestly really really good as it is. But like, meanwhile, you have to take large blocks of money. But like, I won't be able to maybe get good groceries. I won't be able to go out for a little bit if I want to get a car. I got to
Yeah.
save up for this shit. Ideally, that's what the $5 tap would like be covering, like these
Yeah.
kinds of wages, these kinds of repair, the maintenance, and the perhaps purchase of more trains, more carts, and those kinds of things. But with cars, that's all on you, and it's like it's such a inefficient use of like such powerful resources, like the electrical components, the batteries, the gasoline. Honestly, a car is a marvel, like the way it works at all.
Yeah.
But there's so much machinery going into something that is probably meant to serve you for 5 or 10 years, right?
Yeah.
And then it's expected that the car will wear down, the car will need some significant enough replacements that you'd be better off getting a new car. It's so expensive and so much tech is going into something that is so disposable, I think.
Yeah.
Which is also why I think electric vehicles aren't the future for...
No, I definitely, that's one of my hottest take, that I don't think electric vehicles are any, like the way it's depicted that they are the future.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
100% agree. Electric cars are not going to save the planet. Electric cars are saving the car industry.
Yeah.
And
Because they're still using some kind of energy and resource
exactly
while making them or while producing their electricity.
producing them. The battery, basically you're turning the gasoline and the oil wars into the lithium wars. So basically you go from exploiting the Middle East hard to exploiting Africa hard, like even harder than you already are, because they are going through a lot, like with Sudan and Congo and those kinds of things, as we should be aware. There's a lot going on, and I don't think necessarily that electric cars will even solve anything of value, because the process of making the vehicle, the process of like the rubber and all the machinery,
And even the changing the battery is such a process that some people just prefer changing the cars rather than just changing the battery itself.
right? And do you know what's going to happen to the battery even if you do change it? Right in the landfill. That's not good for the earth either.
No.
That's what I mean. It's like, sure, maybe you're not emitting gasoline-based emissions, but there is still a lot more. Like there's still a bigger picture of what's being like disposed of, like the batteries, like the car itself. When you get a new car, people just placing their mark on the world. They want to feel like they're there. They want to
The
say
hood.
that this is a canvas, and I
Like
can
this
paint
is also graffiti.
you know, you're right. Advertisements are negative graffiti. We hate that shit.
Yeah.
We don't like that.
We don't like that.
Ban that shit.
Yeah.
But that shit right there,
Yeah.
like the
So see how the landscape has changed. We came from Brampton, it's kind of like all plain and parking lots. Now we are in the city, and now it's all buildings.
all buildings.
Buildings. And Rogers Arena. Now we're seeing everything we were talking about. Like it's right here. Everything.
And Rogers Arena is very important to why it is that we come to Toronto at all and not go to Brampton or not go to Mississauga. Rogers Arena is like basically an encapsulation of why it is that we have to come to Toronto and why it is that we, like, I come all the way from Brampton. Anytime there's a concert I listen to, like most big artists will come to Rogers Centre. For example, my friends went to see Disturbed, and they're not coming to Rose Theatre, Brampton. That place is tiny. Mississauga doesn't have a venue. But like, if you got to come to Budweiser Stadium. You got to come to Rogers Center if you wanna actually engage with the culture.
Or you're gonna Scotiabank Center
Scotiabank.
to enjoy a basketball game, or you enjoying a Leafs game. So
They built everything there. Meanwhile, in Brampton, we're still a gigantic city with maybe 1.5 hospitals at best. With the population we have, right? It's crazy.
that tells you a lot about planning. How planning is way far behind than the population growth, and how city centers like Toronto serves more purpose than city center like Brampton, even if Brampton might have like similar population as Toronto. But everybody wants to be in Toronto. That's the thing.
Everybody wants to be here because everything is here, kind of. If you want to like the coolest parks, like near the beaches or whatever, you come to Toronto. You're not going to Brampton for the beach. I mean, I guess you maybe drive to like Wasaga or something. You have to get out if you want to do something. Meanwhile, they kind of built a lot of the cool stuff here, but they also surround it with some of the ugliest, garbagest infrastructure. I prefer green, and I prefer not weed, but like I prefer like little bits of parks and those kinds of things to seeing desolate gray buildings. It feels almost, whenever I walk around in Toronto, it's interesting that it's the culture hub of the GTA, but it's also the buildings and the rundown nature of it kind of feels soulless to me. That's my take. Not a take that most people agree with. It's maybe a mid take. I think, and again, this comes back to car-based infrastructure, how much gray, how much concrete we got to put on the road, how much space we got to dedicate to fucking parking lots, and how little we can have of like a mixture of green and
So now we are heading towards the trams, and we'll enjoy one of the finest architectures in Toronto. The Union Station, right?
yeah,
Am I
the
correct?
this is big hubbub station. We're here on Friday during working hours, so this will be way busier at something like a 6 p.m. or something, right? You will probably not be able to see much things beside just people walking through this area. If it's like
Especially
on
after a
6 or 7.
Leafs game.
Especially after a Leafs game on a Friday night,
Night?
bro. You will not be able to see the wall behind you. It'll just be people. It'll be a tidal wave of human flesh.
Yeah.
Percent-
What's your hot take on the coffees?
Coffees?
Give me a coffee take.
I have never drank coffee before.
What?
I
Never,
drink.
ever?
I had John. I'm like, John's good enough. Coffee, it puts caffeine into you. I'm hyper enough as is, bro. You want to see this guy loaded up 130%? The world ain't ready for that shit. The world ain't ready for 130% GERP.
The percentage is going crazy here.
The percentage is wild. That's why that's why the store is named the way it is. Yo, it was destiny.
What's your favorite coffee blend?
What is it?
Sunny, hot take.
You will be judged harshly by the viewer base and the
Yes.
stoners in the chat.
What's your take down here?
Chinese cooks or like East Asian cooks will like actually like cook the food right in front of you.
Yeah.
Is that what's being done with the coffee here?
Yeah, that's what is done with the coffee. Like, look at it. Like, they have the different grinder sets. They have different beans too, from Hawaii, from whatever, like Arabic blend,
Yeah.
Hawaii blend, whatever the blend is. I don't know.
By the way, did you hear like some of the most expensive coffee in the world is like a cat that climbs up to a specific tree, eats the coffee beans, and then poops it out, and then people collect that and refine it? That's actually a thing.
I've heard the elephant one.
The elephant one, tell me
yeah,
that one.
they just collect the elephant eats the coffee beans and shit, and then it literally
Literally
shits
shits.
it, and they collect. I think he did one of the reviews of those coffee back in the day. He's one of the very good big content creator when it comes to cameras and shit. He's also a photographer. He did something like that, and that coffee, I don't know how that will taste. People drink that.
Right? And then, like that's the same thing. The most expensive one is the cat poo poo.
Coffee fucks me out.
What
This
are we
is an
saying, yo?
anti-coffee rant.
Anti-coffee?
Stop drinking coffee, folks. You're killing the planet. You're
Killing the planet?
Bunch of hyper people going around building shit that's not required.
Not required.
Selling
Too
it
much
to people
energy.
who don't want it. Stop drinking coffee.
Rumi
Coffee
the-
makes you more productive. We don't need that much productivity.
Rumi's
Relax.
definitely a lo-fi motherfucker right here. This guy listening to his lo-fi jams, just
Jams,
kicking like
yeah. Chill.
this. That's Rumi, yo.
Stop drinking that fucking coffee.
Low energy advocate, I see. I'm surprised you're walking.
Walking is a low energy effort.
Oh yeah, that's right. If we suggested sprinting, then you'd put me down.
Probably. Look around.
Summer lovers
There are
hate-
more people walking. Look,
More people walking.
this is everybody's on different wavelengths here.
There's so many wavelengths, baby. You and I might be on the same one, but there's so many people with different ones
Different
out
ones.
here.
But
Different
that's good.
wavelengths.
That's what makes it community.
That's what makes
it
the
people.
world interesting.
We have to go this way. Look at that cop. Like he's a special constable. Let's go. Let's go.
So I'll give you a take
Yep.
that'll segue into third places.
All right. What's that take?
And that is something that's very important. We need third places, but we also need good street culture. Like, you know, in the sense that in, like, for example, in the global south, there will be food stands. People can convene around getting stuff like shawarma made on the streets.
Yeah.
Good street culture, good street food is really, really important, I think. People can meet, people can convene and just talk on the streets.
Yeah.
We don't really have that here so much because there's very little on the streets, because the streets basically serve as a roadway to the next business we go to or the next building we go into where we can convene, right?
It's just the road,
The best
but
thing,
people walk on it.
and our best street food is what? Hot dog stands?
And you don't even see much of that too.
Yeah, there's not
either.
that many hot dog stands either. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you take a snapshot of just like this street right here, what is the street culture here for the people? I mean, not for like the architecture, but what is the street culture of the people? Everyone's just walking, trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
But they're not trying to walk and
It's
talk
the
to
next
each other.
shop they want to go to. It's the next spot they want to go
Exactly.
to.
And
It's
that's
this. It's not. They're not interacting on the street.
what people forget, is that the street itself in the global south is a third place.
True.
It is a place where everyone's equal, everyone's able to communicate, and everyone has a reason to communicate. As you enjoy a nice, delicious shawarma together, as you take each other to a nice stand, you just sit back, grab a shawarma, grab
What
some
about this
ice cream.
place right here? Can it be classified as like third place, or is just another place?
It looks like a waiting area in front of a business.
Business, so people can enjoy their break and shit.
I do wish, because like, again, one of the most communal things is breaking bread together, right? That's what we do in the Gurdwara. We
Yep.
just sit there at Langar and we sit there and we eat with each other. At the NSN protests, we'll break bread, we'll eat with each other.
Yep.
And that's something, if we could do on the streets, would be interesting, right? Like, we could share shawarma with each other, we could share food. I love shawarma, that's my favorite food. That's why I'm bringing it up every time.
He keeps talking about shawarma, yo.
I'm shawarma's number one advocate, yo.
Shawarma.
Shawarma, also like tacos, like good street food is like fucking, literally is life.
He's got to experience some Indian street food, then he will be talking about that too. How about some pav bhaji here, guys?
Damn.
Draw me some pav bhajis in the chat.
In the chat, yo. Chat room gotta let us know what's good.
No, it's true. We don't have third places. Like, we don't have places around here which kind of creates a community, a sense of community or sense of belongingness.
The closest you get is like, if you look to your left, you'll see just people sitting there just at the same spot, but not together.
Those are like isolated places. They are
Isolated
not
places.
designated spots for communities to convene at, to collect, to organize, or to talk.
And the conspiracy take I have
Yeah.
is this is by design to incentivize, like it comes back to the Noam Chomsky thing, where if people aren't able to convene on the street, they have to go to a business to convene. This is why people go to bars, people go here, like libraries are being defunded, and like other third places, like parks, for example, you generally see less and less of those. But like, there's more like, come to this shopping mall, come to this super flash sale, come to like this concert theater,
Yeah.
come to this
Yeah.
venue.
Okay. Yeah, it's always the next thing. Like we said, we are walking towards the next thing.
Exactly.
There's the next thing. It's a business.
Yep. That's literally
Where you
what
got to
we're
spend
doing.
the money.
Yep.
But it's not always about the spending money. It's something about a little bit more about community.
And
But
the thing
it should not be like you have to pay to get that sense of community.
that's the bottom line venture, and it all comes back to I'm so glad I remember that Noam Chomsky quote. It comes back to it, right? If there's nothing here, we have to go to the businesses.
Define third places again. If you have to give a meaning to a third place.
Third
Because
place?
people can think of a third place as a bar too.
Yeah.
Is a bar a third place, or
It's
or
probably-
coffee shop a third place?
They try to be like Starbucks wants to be. They say they invite you to get your laptop out and drink your coffee, sit down, enjoy, maybe talk to somebody if possible. They're like the textbook definition would include things like everybody at a third place has to be sitting on equal footing. There cannot be a server and a servee. For example, a library still has people who are maintaining the libraries, maintaining the shelves. So there is still a patron and I forgot the other term.
There is a server and servee
relationship. And
So there's a transaction happening there. There's that thing is not organic. That thing is not happening on itself.
Yeah.
Or that thing has not organically brought. Imagine a group of people who like books.
Exactly.
It's not something like books brought them together. It's the business that brought them together, and there's a interest there that's serving somebody else, but them being together. It's not serving those people at the end.
To be fair, like within North America, libraries still serve as one of the closest examples. Or like
But it's
the
too
closest.
public.
It's still
It's also public.
yeah.
Library,
That's the key.
That's the key. You're not paying to be there. Anybody can go to the library
Yeah.
and form a book club and meet and talk about those things.
100%.
Because now you can see the privatization of those places as well.
Yeah.
And kind of like, books being branded as illegal or wrong text. Or you're seeing those the book bans that happen.
Oh, 100% in America too, especially.
Yep.
Bro, did you say the word critical and race and theory in the same book? Delete that
Delete
shit, bro.
that shit, bro.
And it's like unfortunate because again, just by virtue of it being public and not being locked behind transactions or being a business like a bar where you have to buy drinks and that kind of stuff.
Yep.
By virtue of not being locked, that's why people still love
Like
libraries.
look
so
at
much in
this
North
happy
America.
hour. This is the kind of like special hour they're trying to promote.
This is
to
the
bring
community
the
they're
cost
trying
down.
to build. Yep.
And they're trying to create this. Oh, this is an happy hour. But what's happy about it? The cut prices?
Exactly. Do we need? Is this a commentary on how we're so depressed that we need like fucking liquor to like help us forget about the pains of living in a post-capitalist society? No.
Or get to kind of like lower our standards.
Sorry, not post-capitalist.
Not standards, but like lower our, anxiety.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can talk to other people.
Probably why like
It's like a tooth serum. You have to take a tooth serum to actually talk.
that's true, right? We inhibit ourselves so much. We're taught basically if you and I didn't already know each other and we walked past each other, I'd just be like this, or like maybe earbuds in my phone. I'm not that kind of guy because like I don't know. I don't like putting my face in my phone. I find that disrespectful when I'm in company. But like,
what kind of third places you will prefer? Like city like this, we're walking, right?
Yeah.
Right now we are walking with the destination in mind. We are going to this camera shop. But if you have to have a third place, what will be the ideal third place in setting like this would be?
in a setting like this would be interesting, and that might be my bias against cities and why I prefer different areas. Because I prefer areas like maybe beaches, maybe some grassy areas. I prefer places where we can, like for example, in Brampton, we have a place called Chinguacousy Park. Beautiful park. A lot of room for you to just be able to play, set up volleyball, set up soccer nets if you want to play, set up whatever you want, and just have a good time and just play. And those things I think are really simple. Oh, I thought I was in the way. A few places to do that outside of like joining leagues or whatever, or like the few parks that we have left, then it becomes hard for people to just like get together and be like, all right, let's play some basketball together, let's play some soccer together. Basketball is actually probably as popular as it is because you can just set up a net on the street and just play on your like in suburbia, right? You can just like
That's where the street sports come in.
Exactly.
Because it's organic. People want to play, but they don't have the means to play it or perfect place to play it. So hence the gully cricket, like in India, they have gully cricket. They started playing cricket on the streets because they didn't have perfect infrastructure to play cricket out.
damn.
So that's the one, like street soccer comes out of the same kind of like thing.
Yeah.
You don't have perfect infrastructure, but
Yeah.
you have a ball.
You have like
and
a
you have
couple pairs of
2
shoes or
feet.
something,
Your
jacket.
shoe. No, I've seen people playing soccer in the street without shoes.
Yeah, exactly.
They've been dedicated to a game. If they don't have it, don't have it. You still have 2 feet. I'll fucking play.
Yeah, like the shoes are the net basically, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do. And that's it, like you're trying to make something out of nothing because that's what like, and there is a beauty to that. But I kind of do wish, I don't know what I would want from a Toronto third place other than
A crossbar.
an appreciation for the fine liqueurs. I'm not an alcoholic. But I think
Lime.
from Toronto, damn, you call me out in front of all the fucking fans, It's crazy. I think from Toronto, what I would want is more of a focus on genuine street food.
Genuine street food. So you
Genuine-
want street food on the street,
not
not at
a-
one specific place that
not-
dedicated street food center.
I think that would be a good start, like a genuine area to get, and more places for people to sit down and just like more like little hubs where people can like sit down, maybe a couple benches
And
just
enjoy
eat.
some street food.
We're all eating food together. There'll be a point where hopefully conversation
Toronto,
can break
we
out
need
for a little
more
bit.
street food. Come on.
Street food on the
Vancouver, too.
streets.
Street food on the streets, though.
Within car-based infrastructure, the street food takes the form of food trucks.
Food trucks is cool too, but we don't see enough of that. There's also this licensing, the renting,
Yeah.
proper placement thing that And there are the food truck wars that people fight over the spaces and
Damn.
to put their food. Oh, damn.
And then if you look at the streets here, right? Like how much room do you have for a food truck? If you
Because
park a
but if there would be less cars on the street,
then we're good.
then we can have street food on the street.
It always comes back. That's why I say like community is the key, and like that's the number one reason my politics are the way they are. But I would say like, and I tend to blame capitalism for a lot of things, but like
That was my next question. Where does capitalism fall in all of this? Because this place is a epicenter of capitalism.
Concrete
All finance,
jungle.
like we have Deloitte there, we have HTD Bank here. So what do you think about that? It's like funded and brought to you by capitalism.
I would say it's the opposite. Community is taken away from us by capitalism, right? Like we kind of we're alluding to this the whole time. Whereas like where we have to make community, we have to make street sports the way they are because we don't really have a good spot to otherwise. We kind of have to take our shoes off, use them as nets. We kind of just have to set a basketball net up on a street because the streets become the best spot because we don't really have good means otherwise. Since the civil rights era, like when Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were able to actually congregate, he was able to give a speech and people would come through in the hundreds, maybe the thousands to listen to those speeches. Like, you know how I Have a Dream, Why I Opposed the War in Vietnam was actually a better speech. Kwame Ture called him out on that. Malcolm X they could incite a lot of people, and it was easy to get people to congregate back then because we didn't have like the way laws are set up as well. Like if you have too many people meeting up together, they'll consider that a public nuisance. There'll be police investigation, stuff like that. I'm saying a lot because my mind is like
One of the main things is the civil rights movement started from the public transportation issue.
True, yeah.
Hey,
Busing, right?
Shout out to Rosa Parks.
Yep.
But that was the whole movement started because of the transportation thing
Exactly.
and the segregation in transportation. That's one other thing we can look at. Like you were talking about the redlining.
Yeah.
Like how communities are divided by highways that
Yep.
are constructed in certain way and manner that the communities cannot interact with them.
Exactly.
Because then to cross that highway, you have to go all over to the next town and find a way to cross that fucking highway, especially on foot.
Yeah.
If you don't have a car,
You're absolutely
done.
screwed. And the other thing is, I would argue, like since the civil rights era,
yeah.
they saw what happens when people are able to congregate. That
Yeah.
means people realize their strength is in numbers and that the ruling class's power is much smaller in comparison. Like
Yeah.
if the people are able to have, but when they keep us isolated, when they keep us atomized, when they keep us in our buildings or in our stores just consuming mindlessly, when they create a culture where it's sit on your phone, get your latest headphones and just listen to music and ignore everybody else, you keep everybody as distant as possible. And I believe very much that every aspect of our infrastructure, every aspect of our society in the West is built this way by design, especially after they saw what was able to be done when people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X were able to
One of the
grab-
examples why suburbs were created was for out of the racist ideal to move away from the colored people in America. So if you go back and look into the history, the suburbs were created in America because white people wanted to remain secluded, out of touch from the coloreds. And one of the reasons there were resurgence of like this inter-race wars back in the 50s, because when the black people started going to suburbs and started living there, there was this clash that happened. So again, infrastructures is also an example how people are divided.
Yep. Created with the intention of division, and that still rings true to this day. Even if we are multiple people, multiple races now walking on the street, we're divided in a different means.
We are divided on the basis of class.
On class, and under capitalism, we're divided based on what we want to consume. I want to meet here with you at the camera shop and that's where we're going because that's what we wish to consume. Meanwhile, other people will go to like a Starbucks or something because that's what they want to get.
Yeah.
And it's like
Somebody wants to live in the forest, if you can afford it, you can go.
Yeah.
And believe me, living in a places that's more secluded is more expensive for anybody to. You know, in olden days, we were like, oh, he became poor, he moved to some forest and lived like a saint or whatever.
Oh hell.
Doing
no.
that shit now,
Yeah.
it's totally expensive. That's impossible. Imagine moving to a forest and living off the land.
Yeah. Because what are you gonna eat?
So
What do you?
what you mean is only billionaires can be saved now?
Yeah.
Only
That's what
billionaires
they're trying to
can be
achieve.
saved.
Look at Peter Look at the Mark Zuckerberg and all those kind of people. They're trying to do these kind of things that make them look more appealing in the way that they can be looked as saintly as they can.
They used to anyway.
Because they show that they're using money for the good. Like Amazon sending people into space is one of those examples that they try to look as innovators. They're trying to look, even if they're not innovating anything, they're just using other people's labor and money.
Yep.
But it's just, they're trying to picture themselves, like they're trying to implant themselves as a person who actually cares about society, and they're doing a lot. Like Bill Gates, remember he tried to do all that medical stuff and then donations in third world countries.
Oh, it's wild because he ended up fucking those places up.
He did, but the intention was he wanted to be looked at in a certain way, and he did. The people in Global South, sometimes when we talk about billionaires, you will see people don't bring up Bill Gates as much as they do some other billionaires nowadays. I'm talking.
Yeah.
Right? He's kind of like seen as good one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's a good one, but he's kind of seen like that because he kind of implemented himself into the society by doing that all the social good and trying to earn that all the social credit.
Yep.
So answering the Sunny's question, yes, they're trying to portray themselves, because if they're able to achieve that status of being a saint or a big inventor, people won't come after them.
They won't come after them?
Until and unless they fuck up like Elon Musk. Look at Elon Musk.
He was basically real life Iron Man.
Iron Man. People looked up to him. Even everybody kind of knew. He's like, some people knew he's fucked up. But people, till now, he did like Nazi salute. People worshipped him. And then tells a lot. If he hadn't done that, he hadn't got involved with the politics, I think we have our answer.
Still be seen as like a genius. It was crazy. It's almost kind of refreshing in 2025 that the mask of almost all of them is being taken off.
Yeah.
But I do think the other side to that is they want to.
Even Donald Trump trying to portray himself as some kind of saint who will save American people and pull them out of this misery.
Yep, he wants to make America great again.
That's not going to happen. And we are seeing that live. That's not going to happen.
But the interesting thing, I think, is also not only does the ethical billionaire and the good, nice guy billionaire make you think this is a good person, it also creates an aspirational image, and that keeps us running on the hamster wheel under capitalism, that like, oh, if I work hard enough, I will become a millionaire, I'll become a billionaire.
Also imagine like in older days when kings used to build cities to look like, look at me, I built this city. Remember, I'm the greatest. It's kind of represents them. It's not for the people, it's for him. It's for his own pride. He built that city. It's for his own thing. He did what he did. It's not for the people. It had very less to do with the people than with the imagery and how he wanted to be represented.
Not only that, but they're trying to like, I think they were corporate towns for a while as well. Like, you know, if you want land here, you just have to work for us. You have to get a contract.
Like in India, there is a whole corporate towns operated by Tata, Reliance, and all these companies. You will see those corporate towns that still exist. And to be fair, they made it just according to. It's too loud.
It's a little loud. But you know what? This is the public transportation, baby.
I love it. There are walkable cities in America, but those walkable cities are funded and made to us a special class of people. Achieving that lifestyle is seen as you're rich. Being walkable, living in walkable cities, that means that you can afford that thing.
Yeah.
Living in Toronto, paying like $3,000 for one room, one bedroom apartment. Yes, that's a rich guy thing. Only rich people can do that. Only a rich person can own that thing.
Do you know what's going to get to later, yo? When you're rich, is you can get your own water running in your own house.
That's what I'm saying. Water. All that simple things are becoming more complicated and expensive over the time. Over the time, it's going to become more complicated. The more complicated it is, it's better for them, because then they can profit. The more corporate interests get, like the idea of commodifying, and this is what imagine turning this street into one of the more functional public transportation and walkable and whatever the third place we want to make. Imagine that happening on this street. How much loss is going to be for petrol companies, for car companies, and for all the public interests or the private interest they're serving.
And that's why they're against it, right? That's the like we sound like conspiracy bros. So that's why the system's rigged against it. But
It's
like
not-
it
it's not
really is.
conspiracy. It's basic facts.
Yeah. Well,
It's basic facts. If nobody's selling cars companies are not making money, nobody's using petrol companies are not making money, then
they don't. That's it.
private interest gets hurt.
And then they won't if they don't fund the city. Like if they're not like putting their money here, then the businesses will go elsewhere and they'll just leave Toronto alone.
It's also kind of like if there are no wars, who's going to sell the weapons to? Who are they going
Exactly.
to sell the weapons to?
And the paradox is, how can there be world peace if there exists a war economy?
Definitely.
Right?
If there is a war, if there is an ammunition making company,
There must
there's
be a
going
war
to
to
be a war.
justify it,
Justify.
bro.
Yeah.
We're gonna
Just put them to real use. My 10,000 steps, they're done today.
They're done, bro.
They're done, bro. Tell me about your experience. What's relatable? What's different from other experiences you had in Toronto?
Well, it's good to come here on a Friday night without having to come here for the sake of a concert. So now you get to see the difference between coming here like what time do you come? Like 2 p.m., 1 p.m. ish?
Yep.
And then versus like the evening life, the post-work life. Now you can see the streets are hustling and bustling at every opportunity. But I think our earlier observation was correct in that like the people aren't stopping and doing anything so much as they are just going somewhere.
Yeah.
So
But
I
still, nightlife is kind of different. People are just walking,
Yeah, so
chilling, enjoying the sun.
some people are homeless and just walking. They're finding somewhere to like just chill for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Go there.
All right. But that's the thing. That's the part. The walkable part makes it so much better. Living in a city that's walkable, totally walkable, or you have some kind of public transport that makes it easy for you to communicate.
That's the interesting thing. Like, if you were to somehow get like a place and you can afford a place in Toronto, you don't need a car if you want to. If everything you want to do is within Toronto.
But
just
again,
because you got
the thing,
transit.
everything about Toronto is not. It's very expensive.
Exactly. It's
Toronto is expensive. Why? We don't know.
we definitely know, yo.
We don't.
Late stage capitalism, buddy.
Okay, that's what he said.
That's what I said, bro.
That's what he said.
I'm calling it out.
Yeah, he's calling it out. So late stage capitalism. Define it. Define it in terms of transport.
In terms of transport.
Yeah.
All right. So remember that quote that I kept bringing up from Noam Chomsky?
Yeah.
You keep defunding what's public
Yep.
to encourage people to go private.
Yep.
Do you know how many people have you spoke to, like living in non-downtown areas, including Sunny, including Ash? Have you ever spoken to people and be like, "Yo, I just take the bus just to get here"?
No, that's very rare minimum. They will just take the car.
Yeah, they'll be like, "Yeah, just fuck it. I'll just take a car. I'll just drive there." Even if there's somewhere that's like a 15-minute walk, I'd be like, "Yo, let's walk there." They're like, "No, let's drive. I don't feel like walking."
All right.
There's a,
So the point is they're incentivized driving.
it's incentivized
Or-
driving, and like they like, to be fair, somewhere that takes 20 minutes to drive under the system that we got takes
Yeah.
like an hour and a half to like public transit, even like it takes like 2 or 3 buses.
Yeah.
There was a point like I used to go downtown Saga to go bouldering,
Yeah.
and it was a 20-minute drive because I could take the highways, but it is a 1.5 hour commute via bus, so I can't do that anymore.
No, but that's also important. They're not investing well in the public transport.
That's the
People-
point, yeah.
So it's not reliable enough. Like you said, the buses are late or something is going off.
The point isn't that like public transit sucks. The point is it's so defunded and like
Yeah, they made it suck. They made it suck so people will be discouraged to take it.
Yeah.
You take it less services required, more you're dependent on the private sector,
Yep.
more cars you're gonna buy, more lanes you want on the roads, right?
one more lane on the highway,
One
buddy.
more lane on that way. And I'm
More
going
Doug Ford.
More Doug Ford. That's it.
But one thing I do want to say is like public transit that has to share the same roads as cars is pretty much doomed at this point, right?
Yeah.
If they're building like Sunny, you know, they got an LRT being built from like Brampton to Mississauga, but that's within traffic. That's on the same roads that the cars are going to take. So I'm wondering how efficient that's going to be. Buses are also kind of limited to the fact that like they can't move any faster than like rush hour traffic will let them.
If that's fast enough, maybe the cars will reduce.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that. But I think the best thing we can think of is when we took the GO train, for example, there were no stops outside of the designated ones. And if we take the TTC, it's kind of the same way, where it's like we are separated from like the car-based traffic. So it becomes a lot more smooth and a lot more reliable.
So what are you saying? They should have like separated public transport from regular traffic.
Ideally, yeah. I would like for that to be the case, but that would involve a lot of digging underground, a lot of digging above ground. Like you saw what Japan does with its trains. It's like across the buildings and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or you see China, for example. There's building trains fucking everywhere. Zip, zap, zoom. I'm wondering, like, because that is like a huge factor in why trains are so much better. Can you imagine how shitty a train would be if it was on the same road as this? It wouldn't be a train.
Like we're taking trams an example.
Yeah.
Do you find trams a better way to commute, or you will replace it by trains? Or the places you have trams, you won't let cars there.
I don't know.
Like cars are sharing road with the trams right now.
Yeah.
So what you're saying?
Maybe a
is
dedicated tram lane? But I don't know.
more-
I don't
more
have
walkable,
answers.
more walkable.
Yeah.
So road can open up for walking. At least some busiest part of downtown where you feel like, this is too crammed up. This is too crammed up.
Yeah.
Let's open it up for the public. Let's make it more walkable.
And part of the issue also is that, again, the more cars that are going to a certain spot, the more parking lots you need, the bigger the spaces that are required to accommodate. Like, look, basically, if we look down here, the whole lane there is dedicated towards the whole right lane is just dedicated to parking cars so they can go into the institutions.
But again, if you look from the cyclist and pedestrian point of view, it will be an amazing street to walk on, and
100%.
a dedicated tram. So a bike lift.
Yo, that would be sick,
So
bro.
trams have a bike lift. You get tired, just put your fucking bike on the tram. There you go.
It would be ideal for sure, but again, I'm speaking idealism. I'm speaking like we can restructure all this.
Utopian. You're talking in utopian terms. Let's just say.
Yeah,
Is
space
that-
communism, of course.
Yeah, space communism.
That's the dream, but like in practice, I don't know what the current solution is.
Yeah.
I don't know where we go to make, for example, Toronto more bustling in its street life. It's something we'd have to continue to discuss, continue to imagine.
Yeah. No, look at the vibe. Look at the Toronto right now. It's come alive. Sun has gone down. Sun is going down, and
Yeah.
it's coming alive. You can see people coming out and going to the places they want to go. Clubbing. It's Friday night.
Yeah.
They're gonna go clubbing. They're gonna go and do things that they like.
Under
and,
the tent.
and it's all accessible, right? It's all
Yeah.
accessible. We are walking since what? Kensington Market, and we are going towards like Harbor at this point. So it's kind of like a long stretch we have covered by walking, and we don't even know. We were like having fun, enjoying at the same time.
Yep.
And voila, we are here right now.
Exactly. One thing I find interesting though, like the way we've just normalized it, is during the most during the time where the sun is shining the brightest, where the weather is the best,
Yeah.
we spend it inside working, and then we have to have fun during the night.
Yeah, that's why we feel bad for the retail workers. They're the ones who get hurt most.
It's wild, right?
It's wild.
Capitalism has us doing all sorts of fuck shit. Like they're like, yo, sunshine? No, you're gonna be working during that. You're gonna be in school during that.
Christmas?
Go
What the fuck is
yourself.
Christmas? You don't celebrate Christmas. Christmas are not your peasants. Christmas for the rich people to celebrate with their families. You get to sell shit to them.
The school children, they understand that they need 3 months vacation, but as adults, go fuck yourself, yo.
Go fuck yourself.
It is.
You
like,
don't even get proper paid vacation. And if you have a proper vacation, do you have a proper coverage? No, so I think we will cancel your vacation too.
And
That's
like-
a sad path, bro.
And if they keep under hiring employees for certain positions,
Yeah.
like they try to make a team. If it needs 6 people to do a certain job, they want to do it with 4 if they can. If anybody takes their vacation, and it's like, ooh, the rest of the team's gonna suffer though. Do you really want to
Do you
take that
really
vacation? They make you feel guilty for like taking your own PTO.
Yeah, look, that was a severe case of road rage right there.
Right there.
He can't have the patience to just wait for the car to get by. No, he had to honk.
He had to.
This is what we're talking about, people. The mental faculties are not in its place.
Exactly. But the wild thing also is that like it kind of goes to show the inefficiency of cars, right? Like everybody has to go at the same time if you want it to be efficient.
Yep.
But no, we're slowed down by human reaction time. We're slowed down by our cognitive ability to like react to shit. We're slowed down by a bunch of things that are on our mind. Maybe you're doing makeup in the car. Maybe you're texting.
If you look right now how many cars are there,
Yep.
out of them I will say there shouldn't be that many cars on the road.
Also, look at the space. Look, if we compare to the GO train, for example,
Yep.
most of these vehicles have 2 people in them tops. I think the majority would be 1.
Yeah.
So look at all the space taken by all these individually created vehicles that are meant to be destroyed after like 6, 7 years. There's a certain kind of sadness.
I think there is one point to understand: the people who live in Toronto downtown, or somewhere more accessible to transport around the downtown,
Yeah.
I think it'll be better for them.
Yep.
So for somebody coming outside of downtown, it's
That's
going to be
the hell.
that's the hell, because you're commuting outside of downtown, then you're trying to get around.
Yep.
So that some of those cases are understandable.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is going to happen. But I think it should be focused on where you live and how we can create better communities
Within where you
around
live.
you, walkable. Like, for example, you're building new housing units. So why not just build some shops and stuff right beneath those housing units and
Yep.
be like, hey, why you need to go somewhere else so far? when you
Zoning
have-
bylaws.
Zoning bylaws, exactly. Like, you don't have to go to a fucking grocery store to grab a carton of milk and waste so
Like,
much
take a 10-minute
money.
drive just to get
and
a bag of milk.
You know, waste petrol,
Yep.
waste gas, just for like a gallon of milk.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is, like, this can loop back into what we were talking about earlier about third places. Also, is like, it's so like, for example, if you lived here and we came from Sunny's house, it would be a mission to get to your place, right? It would be like, yo, Sunny, you want to get some food? You want to make sure we're good? You want to like surf a little bit before we come here? And we wouldn't like. If you lived like right next to me, or you lived within a walkable distance or commutable distance, it would be pretty chill just to get to your place multiple times.
What sucks more,
Yeah.
we're talking about third places, is the entertainment. Entertainment districts are mostly in these regions.
Yeah.
Imagine you come from far away, you're drunk, you want to get home. It will take like twice the time, more than that, to reach home. So all the buzz is killed. I'm thinking from the entertainment side of things.
Entertainment,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so all of your entertainment, the place where you meet up, you know.
Because our main third space here in terms of business is a fucking bar.
Yeah.
So what's wild again is, for all our stoners and drunkards in the chat, we see you.
Or the dancers in the club,
Or yeah.
like me, I'm dancing.
Man's busting moves on the street,
Busting
yo.
moves on the streets, no
Busting
music,
move, yo.
I'm just crazy.
But like, it's wild to me. Like, there's a few phenomena. I was even talking to Ash about one of them.
Yeah.
A couple of phenomena I find wild. First of one is, if you're drunk or high,
Yeah.
you can't drive. So
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing? You're just
Looks
gonna.
so good. Wait,
Right up
wait,
the
wait.
CN
That's
Tower?
one of the.
Seeing people makes me happy.
I come from a place where I see less people, so this is like kind of overwhelming at this point for me.
Overwhelming, eh?
Like, it's too much people. Imagine if I go to India and it's gonna be like, fuck shit, take me out of this place.
And you're a semi-introvert, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Other people kind of activate me.
Dang.
Damn.
I guess what it is yeah, like, because again, people don't really reach out and talk. We just all exist at
Yeah.
the same time here.
It's the isolation part, and again, it's related to our topic.
And that's the key, right? Like, we
Commuting.
talk atomization, bro.
Yeah.
That shit is the greatest cancer that we're ever dealing with. That's a big word I just said, chat room, atomization. But it's a simple way to describe it, and it's kind of basically the idea that we're all kept separate from each other. We're all kind of. But back to the
The mood of the city.
the mood of the city, the atomization. That is kind of the way we're. It's a lot of things. It's a factor of conditioning.
Bar coming ahead.
We're conditioned to not really want to talk or engage with each other without being necessary. We're taught that everybody's competition. We're taught that, like, if you're in school, get the highest grades. If you're at work, you want to get the next what's called promotion. It's always us against somebody else. Be the first one to buy this product or whatever. It's always everybody's viewed as like a antagonist as opposed to someone we cooperate with. Despite
So
that,
it's all zero-sum game, you would say.
it's all zero sum by design here in the West. We have it the worst here. If you go to places like the Global South, for example, there's much more communal, right? They understand that, like, no, in order to survive, we need each other. And even still, even in North America, we don't grow our own food. We don't grow wheat, harvest wheat, and then make bread out of it. We still have to go buy the food. We got to buy the milk, buy the whatever we need to eat and drink. We still buy our clothes. We don't manufacture our own. I mean, some of us might, but we basically took the aspect of community and we tried to commodify it. We tried to say, if you want to meet people, go to this bar right there, the Pint. Go right there, and we're going to go right there too because we're
And
also.
then comes the consumption part. While we are trying to solve one core issue of isolation, it's already related to capitalism. When you're telling people to go meet somebody at the bar,
Yep. And that's interesting how that is kind of like the main spot people are considered to socialize. Oh, if you want to find a date, go to the bar. If you want to just chill, find some people, go to the bar. We never really say like, let's go to the park and just like play sports. Let's go have a picnic or something. That we don't really have enough like publicly funded spaces to really easily do that, because everything is like, okay,
Or if there are some spots that are very far away that you need cars,
yep. And
or
then it's
some
like,
sort of transportation if it's available.
and then it's like, if it takes like an hour to drive to, and like the event starts at like 7 p.m., you're coming after work, you're tired. You're like, fuck it, I don't want to drive, man. I'm tired.
This was our journey today, eh?
Interesting journey right to the heart of the GTA.
Right, GTA Toronto. Right now we're in downtown Toronto, right next to the CN Tower. And
Got so many pics of that beautiful shit right there, the CN Tower.
Okay, city is beautiful. Nobody's saying city's not good enough, or it's just the fact that we have to make it more accessible for living, for commuting, all the things. And it's not just about GTA, it's all about so many cities in North America which actually have bare bones to become very walkable, very publicly funded transportational city. But those measures are not being taken. Take San Francisco, take Vancouver. They can be great accessible cities, like with great public transport. It's just a kind of investment, and the speed that's required to complete those works of public transport is slow as compared to what we are seeing in the east.
Especially in Japan or like China, right? It's crazy.
It's crazy.
And the thing we were talking about earlier is kind of like good transit systems in general are kind of what allow us to easily find community, make community, and find places for us to congregate. It is necessary. It is necessary for us to be able to make community with people. Otherwise, you're localized to a very small area. It really opens up the world for you to be able to explore with people, and that's why I think it's so important to discuss these issues and talk and take it very seriously. Is that this is how we meet people. This is how we see new things. This is how we see the world.
This is how we experience things, and this episode is kind of how to say, an essence of that. We're trying to garner or create that essence that, hey, come take a walk with us, feel with us, see what we are seeing, feel what we are feeling, listen to what we are trying to express. And I hope we can do many more of these kind of episodes and walkthroughs. And I don't know, when I meet you next time, it's going to be a blast. Probably somewhere different, probably somewhere new. Till then, we'll see you.
Let us know what you think in the comments, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Hey.
We're content pilled out here, all right?
Content pilled.